Hello, everybody. Welcome to my podcast on Spreaker.com. That is with self respect leads to self love radio podcast. I'm your host. Y'all know who I am by now. Thank you guys for joining me for this episode. If you guys want to hear this particular podcast, please go to Spreaker.com/self respect leads to self love radio podcast. And if you want to hear all of my podcasts, then you can go to my name on my podcast and you'll see all of my recovery podcasts. You can also listen to them on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all the major streaming companies. And you can also be a member of my podcast by going on the podcast and becoming a member as well. I am a certified recovery life coach. It's all about helping people in their past, their journeys, and their purpose to renew and better them through self discovery. Helping people to heal in emotional, spiritual, psychological, mental, internal, and external overall health and wellness recovery and financial recovery. And also helping people to deal with people relationships as far as family, friends, romantic relationships, children, people that you don't know, the people that are closest to you, and helping people to recover from trauma from and due to other people, and not only what they do to you, but also what you have done to not only yourself or what you've done to someone else. So I deal with a different type of recovery, but I also deal with alcohol, codependency, drugs, alcohol. I deal with those recoveries as well. Sex addiction, gambling addictions, any type of addictions, even the strangest of addictions, I deal with those as well. Now, today I decided to do something, which is this. Hold on. If it works. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? I hope life is treating you guys well. And I hope things are good with you. Now, y'all normally don't see me because I normally don't show myself, but today I figured I would show myself today because I want to talk about something that I find that's very personal to me. And today's topic is with self-respect comes from with self-respect comes self-love through getting away from society standards. Now, the majority of the issues we have is due to society standards, and that's just the reality of it. And when it comes to society standards, it is the reason why so many people are dealing with trauma, anxiety, depression, anorexia, bulimia, why people are dealing with illnesses, diseases, why people make the choices they make is based upon taught behavior, how they were raised, their standards, and what they believe in. It's about every decision, action, choice, and behavior that you do. It's all about the actions that you take based upon the decisions and choices that you make and the behavior that comes from those actions. Um, Also, it comes from wanting to be loved, liked, appreciated, valued, wanted, needed to be a part of something, to be validated, to be approved of, to be accepted, for somebody to know your worth, and proving something to people, as well as being people pleasers, seat fillers, Captain Save a Ho, Build a Bears, and Build a Doll. I know y'all laugh when I say it like that, but it's the honest to God truth. Now, with self respect, it means that no matter what, you ain't let nobody disrespect you in any way. And I'm not talking about the things they say. I'm also talking about the things they do. So for example, if you're someone that's not about society standards and you're not trying to be a part of society standards, I don't care what anybody says. You're just not going to do it. So for example, if you're a kid and your parents tell you they want you to make friends, and you're like, but I don't want to make friends, and your parents keep pushing you, and you're like, no, then you're standing on business. Now, when you're a kid, it's different than when you are an adult. When you're a kid, it's like you have to do, for the most part, what your parents want you to do. Because your parents are the ones that's supposed to have all the answers, and they're the ones that are pretty much not only leading you, but also guiding you when it comes to how you're raised. Now, there are some parents that don't raise their kids at all, and we all know there are a lot of kids and adults that have been unalived. Like there's one story I saw about this one woman who left her child for 7 days. The child fell out the crib, fell down the steps, and when I tell you, I was so devastated. I couldn't even watch it. It just made me cry to see a little girl fall down a flight of godforsaken steps. The girl had no food and she died of not only injuries, but also she was starved to death. Not everybody's meant to be a parent. Not everybody's meant to be or raise a child. But you'd be amazed how many people can have children and do not raise their kids. You'll be amazed how many kids don't have their father or their mother because either they're both in jail or they passed away. And I created this recovery in a different way because those that love, like, appreciate, value, wanted, needed to be a part of something that I said earlier, what you're willing to do to get it that is negative is what makes it wrong. The fact that you're willing to chase behind somebody that don't want to be with you because you want this person to be with you instead of accepting the fact this is not the person for you and letting it be. You have society telling you that if you want something, it don't matter whether or not you've been rejected or not. You got to get up and keep trying until you get it. The problem is when you do that and you end up getting hurt, and then you got people turning around and saying, well, you should have left that person alone a long time ago. Well, which one is it? Do I chase behind someone that doesn't want me? And when the moment they tell me they don't want me, I leave them alone? Or do I give up? Or do I continuously keep trying until they change their mind? See, we never thought about it from that perspective, the way it was taught to us. You know, your parents tell you, go out there and get what you want. Because if you don't get out there and try, you're never going to do. The problem is, are we supposed to? Or are we supposed to wait to God give us what it is that's meant for us and just sit back and wait? Now, I'm not saying you ain't supposed to do the work. Nobody's saying it. But when it comes to people, it's a whole different thing than it is about writing a book or losing weight or going to the gym or taking care of your health and wellness. It's completely different than dealing with people. Now, when you're in a country like America where everything is diverse and everything is based upon different people from different countries coming to this country and still practicing their religions and their beliefs, and yet and still you have people that basically between discrimination of every aspect. Now, everybody talks about colorism, they talk about racism, they talk about genders, women's rights being stripped, affirmative action, the fact that you have people that are giving people a hard time when it comes to getting jobs because they took away affirmative action, because everybody's now impacted by it. People now get to choose who they want to hire and fire, and there's nothing that's being done to them. So if they don't want to hire somebody that's African American or a minority, they don't have to. You have situations where people are discriminated because of their weight, because of what they look like, their flaws, their imperfections, and all of these different things. And those things have a very big impact on people as well. So when you think about it from that perspective, you never know how people are going to look at you and how they're going to treat you. Now, I am currently on a spiritual sabbatical. For those of y'all who don't know or new to my channel, a spiritual sabbatical is a time of rest, a time of discovery, a time of research, a time of learning, a time of reflecting, a time of learning from your mistakes, a time of going back and looking at all your past situations and seeing where you went wrong, why you didn't see the signs, the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and now what if you are the person you are now? How would you look at it differently? What would you do differently that you didn't do before? Now, a lot of people, when it comes down to recovery, just thinks, okay, it's a 12-step program and we're just going to do these 12 steps and that's going to be it. No, it's deeper than that. Those 12 steps is not going to stop a drug addict from continuously not doing drugs. Because once you let them out of rehab, if they don't have a sponsor or somebody to keep them in line, they're going to go right back to the drugs, like what happened with DMX and multiple other people who passed away from drugs. If you don't keep an eye on somebody that tried to commit suicide, eventually they're going to do it like the guy from Limp Bizkit and from Nirvana. Just from some examples. Now, when it comes to coping, a lot of people have a codependency problem where they can't be alone with themselves. They don't like themselves and they want to be everybody else except themselves. A lot of people wear makeup, they wear fake hair, they wear fake nails. Well, I got fake nails because I just want to wear them. But you got a lot of people that are that ashamed of themselves that they cover up to try to fit society standards when not everybody's going to fit society standards. Society standards is not for everybody because they're not. And sometimes it's better not to be a part of society standards because what you have to do to be a part of society standards, I just don't want to do. And when God said to come as you are, that means come as you are. That's exactly what it means. And that means being real with yourself. Because when you strip the makeup and you strip the fake hair, the fake nails, and you strip it, you have to be able to be happy with yourself. So in order to have respect for yourself, you have to not only love yourself, you got to like yourself. Because if you love and like yourself, I don't care what nobody says. The only thing you're going to say is, you done sat up here for 45 minutes and sat up here and talked about me like a purity dog, and I still don't care. You done sat up here and talked about me like every day. I haven't heard all this stuff before. Why are you talking to me? Why are you even bothering me? Dude, you don't know me. You don't know nothing about me. You act like I walked up to you and introduced myself as, hey, I want to be your friend. But see, what makes people mad that are negative is the fact you don't give them the reaction that they want. So for example, there's 3 ways that negative people will try to either enter your life, and once they do, cause chaos, and what happens when you don't feed into it. Now, if you look at the 3 little bears and you look, not 3 little bears, 3 little pigs. I love this story. 3 little pigs is an example of the 3 things that demonic entities do to get into your world to call chaos. Number 1 is you gonna do it willingly. Now, the 3 little pig story goes like this. There were 3 little pigs. They were raised by their mom. One was lazy. One wanted to get rich quick scheme type of person. And then you had the responsible one. So the one that was the lazy one, the one that was late, that was the get rich quick scheme, is the one that went and got the cheap sticks and built his house of sticks and thought, okay, I'm doing it basically the easy way, but I'm doing it the cheap way. So I'm going to do semi the work, but I'm not going to do all the work it's going to take. So when you have somebody that is half doing something, but not fully doing it, they're still somewhat lazy, but at the same time, they just are going to make sure they do it somewhat the right way. So the big bad wolf comes and says, little pig, let me in. Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Little pig, let me in. Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Well, I'm a huff and puff and blow your house down. Well, you're going to be huffing and puffing for a while because I'm not letting you in. And you ain't coming in. Well, he said, well, I'll huff and puff and blow your house down. And he huffed and puffed and blew it down easily. Now, I may it took a couple times because of the fact that it was made of straw. So the one that was made of straw was more or less the lazy one. I got them mixed up. Now, the one that made his house of sticks is the one that basically did it somewhat, but he didn't want to do all of that work, but he still wanted something that was going to be stable. So even though I don't want to do the work, I'm still going to do it because I ain't got no choice, but I'm still going to do it even though it's not really what I want to do. Whereas the other pig, the one whose house of straw pretty much broke down, is the one that he basically was cheap about it and did it just done it, just fast did it, but didn't make sure it was stable. But he just went ahead and just got something that was easy, fast, so he can go back to going playing and do whatever else it is that he wanted to do. Now, what does that represent? That represents the person that when demonic spirits attack that person, because they want something for nothing and they don't want to work and they want it, like James Scott Farron, I want what I want and I want it now, and you're going to give it to me by any means, shape, form, or fashion, then it's going to be a situation where they're going to basically be willing to do demonic things to get what they want because they don't want to do the work. So it's going to be easy to convince them to do something, or they desire something and the devil says, well, look, I can get you that. All you got to do is, in return, I'm going to need you to do something for me. And in the beginning, that person is going to be willing to do it because they want what they want and they don't want to do the work to do it. So it's going to be easy to get them to do whatever it is that those demonic spirits want them to do because they want what they want and don't want to work for it. Whereas the second pig is the one that built his house of sticks. So it's a little bit sturdier than the one of straw. And so he took the time to build it of sticks, but he's the one that has no idea there's a wolf coming and that the wolf is going to knock it down. So he's the one that somewhat did what he was supposed to do, but he got manipulated because when he went and got the sticks, he was easier to manipulate to give him something that was somewhat sturdy, but not worth the money. So for all we know, he probably went and said, well, I want something to build my house, but I don't want to pay a lot of money to do it. Okay, you can use these sticks. Knowing sticks are not going to hold. So he built his house, and yeah, it did what it was supposed to do, but it's not going to protect him from the wolf. So here comes the second little piggy, comes over to the first little pig comes to the second little piggy and says, look, the wolf is coming, and I don't know if this is going to hold. He said, no, this should hold. The person that bought it sold it to me, said it was going to hold. Okay, a couple days later, the wolf comes, and they run in the house, and the wolf says, little pig, let me in. Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Little pig, let me in. Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Well, I'm huff and puff and blow your house down. Well, you're going to be huffing and puffing for a while because I am not opening the door for you. Well, it might have took him a couple times, but eventually all he had to do was push it and it failed. So now the two little piggies are now running, trying to find the third piggy. Now, what does the second piggy represent? Manipulation, being bamboozled, and being basically doing demonic things by being lied to, manipulated, scammed, conned, and that's how some people end up in negative situations. So they run, and then you got a third little piggy that actually built his house the way he was supposed to. He got some bricks, he built his house, he made sure everything was sturdy, made sure the windows were good, and he built his house of bricks. The piggies come, they get there, and they tell him about what happened. And he said, I told y'all that you cannot get something for nothing. You're going to have to do the work. So this particular piggy was not stupid, and this piggy was not going to be manipulated. or lied to, or bamboozled, or led astray. So here comes the wolf. Little pig, let me in. Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Little pig, let me in. Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Well, I'm gonna puff and blow your house down. Well, you gonna keep huffing and puffing because you're not getting in here. So the wolf is huffing and puffing and huffing and puffing and huffing and puffing and so on and so forth. Still can't get in the house. That ain't gonna work. So trying to basically blow the house just ain't gonna happen. So I gotta figure out another way to get into this house. How am I gonna get in this house if I can't knock it down? Because they have nowhere to go. So now we're gonna try, getting them to willingly open the door by knocking on the door and saying, "You got a package out here. I didn't order anything. So you're just gonna let your package stay out here?" "Yep, I ain't coming out there." So they realize that it's the wolf, and they're like, "No, I'm not letting you in, wolf. I know it's you. I'm not letting you in." So now the wolf is mad even more so, because now the piggies are not going to willingly let him in by him pretending to be the person delivering something. So now he has tried a different tactic, and that's where the second tactic comes in when it comes to manipulation. This is when he's going to try to manipulate them to come out. So he's going to stay away and wait for them to open the door so they can come out. And then as soon as he comes out, he's going to end up trying to get the piggies. Well, guess what? They don't ever come outside. They stay in the house. They got board games, card games. They got plenty to do, PlayStation. So they're not going out there. So he tries to manipulate them by doing something to make them come out the house. That didn't work either, because they never came outside. So now he's really, really furious because now he can't get them through manipulation. So now I'm going to have to force myself into the house in order to get the piggies. He can't kick the door down, can't go through the window. The only way he can get in the house is through the chimney. So he figures he's going to wait until they get good and comfortable, climb up there, and then try to come down and get the piggies. Well, the third piggy was already prepared for that and knew what this wolf was going to do. And so he decided to put a hot pot of water in underneath the chimney. So as the wolf is coming down, not understanding that even though these piggies are asleep, or he thinks they're asleep, they're sitting there watching everything he does. So when he comes down the chimney, as soon as he comes down, bam, he gets burnt. Comes up the chimney and runs away and never returns. Because he realized no matter how many ways that he tried to get to them pigs, it was not happening. Well, guess what? Same thing with you when it comes to negative people. The first thing they're going to do is try to get you willingly to do what they want you to do. When that doesn't work, that's when they're going to try to manipulate you and lie to you and bamboozle you and con you and lead you astray and scam you into doing what they want you to do. And then lastly, if that don't work, they'll force their way in. Now, if you're a smart individual, you'll already prepare for when they try to force their way in. It's just like when it comes to women being sexually assaulted. And a woman goes to a party. A guy asks her for her phone number. She says no. And then he tries to manipulate her by getting her drunk. And she still doesn't drink. So then she ends up going to the restroom, and he ends up coming in behind her and then ends up trying to sexually assault her. Now, would that have happened if she wouldn't have never went to that party? Yeah. But this is what happens every day when it comes to negative people. When they don't get what they want and they can't get it the way they want it, they're going to end up trying to destroy you in the process. So if somebody wants to use or take an advantage of you, then they're going to use your kindness for weakness. They're going to use your emotions for weakness. So you remember when I said those 13 things: love, like, appreciate, valued, wanted, needed, to be part of something, to be validated, to be approved of, to be a part of something, to be accepted, for somebody to know your worth, to be appreciated, and then to prove something to people. Not alone being Captain Save-A-Ho, Build-A-Bears, Build-A-Dolls, seat fillers, and people pleasers. They're going to use that against you because you're such a nice person. You don't have very much experience in life. And that's why most older people go after younger people when it comes to trying to date them. Why most kids are the ones that go through the most damage because they can't fight back. They don't know how to fight back. And because they're told to honor their mother and their father, they end up going through what they go through. And the crazy part is when they go to their parents about it, they don't believe them, or they tell them to suck it up and act like it didn't happen, which is the worst thing you can do to somebody. So a lot of people would have never thought about the Three Little Pigs in the aspect of the way that I said it, but it's the truth. You had three different piggies that went about things three different ways. And the two piggies would have been manipulated, or they would have done it willingly as far as letting the wolf in. But third little piggy wasn't having that. So that's the point of that story. That story is how, regardless of whether you like it or not, you're going to have to work hard to get whatever it is that you want. And in order to protect yourself, you need to make sure you have all the tools you need to protect yourself. That's the moral to that story. The moral to your story is you need to make sure you know your surroundings. You need to make sure you know what you're getting into before you get yourself into it. And make sure that you are protected, and make sure that you're not going down with somebody else, or you're not going to end up losing your life or losing everything for somebody else. Because once people enter your world and they're negative, they're going to bring you down right along with them. So I always use the algebra equation. Negative and negative will always equal negative. Negative and positive will always equal negative. Positive and positive will always equal positive. I don't care if you are a positive person. If you deal with anybody as a non-believer, honey, you're going to be sucked in right along with them. But those 12 things, those things I said, and add 4 more to it, is the reason why you're going to always be damaged. Because you're looking for something that God should be bringing to you. Not only that, if you find those things within yourself, why are you looking for it in someone else? That's the question. Why are you looking for something in someone else that you should find within yourself? People should be the addition to your liking yourself, and should be the addition to you loving yourself and believing in yourself, and supporting you, and caring about you. It shouldn't be that you're looking for it because you don't find it in yourself, which is part of how my recovery works, getting you to like yourself. Because when you go through these sabbaticals and you go through that isolation and that hibernation and that cocoon stage, it's just you and God, or whatever your spirituality or religion is. And every single person in the Bible went through a spiritual sabbatical. Jesus went through a spiritual sabbatical for a whole entire year. Moses went through a sabbatical to get the 10 Commandments. Noah went through a sabbatical when it came to building an ark and getting in that ark and being in that ark for 40 years. So everybody goes through a sabbatical in a different way. It's never going to be the same, depending on where you are in your life. And while you're in this sabbatical, you are working on you. Now, I'm doing it by myself. I'm doing this spiritual sabbatical by myself, and I'm just documenting my journey as far as my sabbatical through my podcast. So right now, I'm in the hibernation cocoon stage. So I'm in the stage where I'm getting ready to build my life coaching business, my motivational speaking business, writing a book, doing jewelry. That's what my sabbatical is. My sabbatical is no sex. My sabbatical is not meeting nobody. My sabbatical is it's just me, myself, and I and God and Jesus. That's it. Now, everything has 12 steps. Negative and positive, there is a balance between the two. There will always be a balance between the two. And when it comes to negativity, it's never going to go away. I had to learn the hard way that negativity will always impact your life in some type of way, whether it be mentally, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, people, or environment, or it can be a being, it can be illnesses, diseases, chronic pain. But either way it go, negativity gonna hit you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. It just is. So I'll give you an example of this. My neck was hurting so bad to the point where I felt horrible today. But I still had to do what I had to do to get through it. And in my mind, I'm sitting here praying, Lord, please help me with my neck. My neck feels better now. But earlier this morning, it was not a good feeling. Then I ate some McDonald's ice cream and started feeling weird. And so I had to end up taking Benadryl because I don't know if I was having a reaction or just panicking because the way that it made me feel. So let me give you an example when it comes to back in the day and now when it comes to food. Back in the day, it used to be where you could eat certain things and it didn't affect you where you had allergies like that. Now, there are more people with allergies, especially food allergies, than ever before. I don't know what they're putting in food, but it's a lot of stuff that when I order out, I just can't eat. But then I also found out they cross contaminate, meaning they cook seafood in the same thing as they cook chicken and everything else. That's cross contaminate. A lot of people don't know that. But these restaurants continue to do it. So if you're at a place and there's seafood and you're allergic to seafood, and then you end up getting something, and even though it may not smell like seafood, as soon as you eat it, it's gonna give you an allergic reaction. Happened to me when I went to Fort Lauderdale, sadly enough, but it did. So what I want people to understand is don't go nowhere where you have an allergic reaction. Nowadays, you got to worry about lab meat. Now you got to worry about, cows having all of these different bacteria infections and diseases. I just found out there's something going around that's unaliving dogs. Just dogs. You take them outside, they come in, and something end up wrong with them. They got a fever, and they end up passing away. So, like I said, animals are mammals no differently than you and me. So the same way that we're infected by things, animals are as well. And then when you have chemicals that they use and dyes and all this other stuff that are banned in 160 countries, and yet they're giving it to us. It's just like you have some countries that don't have cancer at all because they don't deal with certain things that they know that cause cancer. Some countries are all about growing things naturally. They're not about adding all these additives and all these different things and chemicals. No, they don't do none of that. So but in this country, that is not the case. You got people that are still looking for answers for what's wrong with them, and yet they can't get a permanent fix. They can only get a temporary fix when it comes to their health and wellness. They only give you pills, but they're not a permanent fix. And the one thing about chronic pain, it just spreads from one place to another place to another place to another place. It never stays in one place at one time. It just doesn't. So what I want people to understand is when it comes down to your health and wellness, everything you do should be centered around that. Everybody who you bring into your life should be the addition to making sure they're not going to do anything to mess up your health and wellness. That's like you on the road and you're on your way somewhere, and all of a sudden somebody hits your car. Not even your fault because they were on their cell phone, not paying attention. At the end of the day, like I said, you don't know who's going to hit your car, what's going to happen. That's why when my mother drives, she always stops and then before she turns, because you don't never know if somebody going to basically go through the red light or somebody going to turn while she's turning. There are a lot of people that have no consideration of nobody's feelings and nobody's wants, and they don't care. So you got to be very careful when you're out there. That's why for me, I always like to go out between after 9 o'clock and before the kids get out of school. I try to get everything done when there's not a lot of traffic on the road, where I ain't got to worry about the issue of running into something or somebody trying to run into me. You just got to be mindful and careful of that. So when it comes to self-respect, that's how you love yourself. It depends on how much you respect yourself. So you can't sit up here and get mad every time somebody says something. And during the journey of sabbatical, you're going to learn emotional intelligence. You're going to learn to deal with your emotions by yourself and process your emotions before you confront somebody. And after you get done with this journey, I promise you, when somebody say something negative, you ain't gonna do nothing but just walk off. You ain't even gonna say nothing to them. And they're gonna you just gonna walk off. What else do you think I'm gonna do here? Responding to you is not gonna make a difference. Cussing you out is not gonna really make a difference. You still gonna have the mentality. You still gonna think whatever you think about me in the first place. So why in the world would I have this conversation with you? Why in the world would I sit up here and explain myself to somebody I never walked up to, never introduced myself, and never wanted to be bothered with in the first place? That would be so remotely stupid for me to do. So I want people to understand that these journeys are needed. These sabbaticals are needed. The problem is you can't have a sabbatical because society is not going to let you have one because they don't want you to reflect. They don't want you to learn. They don't want you to grow or evolve or elevate. They don't want you to do none of that. All they want you to do is go to work, make money, go through a whole bunch of negative things so they can make money off of you, sit up there and don't care about the fact that marriages are not working. You notice that government don't never talk about marriage. They never talk about. And even with pastors, I notice they never talk about the things that are going on in society that's broken. They never talk about why relationships are not working. They never talk about why friendships and family members are basically, after a while, don't even talk no more. Why do we base things on the external and not the internal? Why is it that we're only attracted to a person for what they can do for you and what they look like or how they are in bed? So it's all about the superficial things and not about the things that really matter. It's like all these people out here being intimate and fornicating with people and nothing's going to come of it. It's like all these people that sit up here and want to be Captain Save-A-Ho and want to save somebody that don't want to be saved. Somebody's going to turn around and do you dirty. Just like Build-A-Bears. Y'all trying to upgrade people into something they ain't never going to be. It's like being a people pleaser and trying to make everybody else happy and put yourself last. It's about being a seat filler while you're sitting here doing right, but this person out there with everybody else and doing everybody else right except you. And then you have the vampires that suck the life out of you and use daylights out of you, and then when they're done, they just kick you to the curb. See, the old version of me, that's what I dealt with. The new version of me, absolutely not. Mm-mm. I am never doing that no more. God taught me a new way to help people. And that is not by giving away my blessings. It's about pretty much giving them advice, and that's it. Now, somebody $20 short, cool. Don't give anything away that you can't afford to give. Don't even do it. A lot of y'all will put stuff in your name for somebody else. A lot of y'all will be people's ride or die, but let me let you in a little secret though. You're taking on their spiritual karma, consequences, and repercussions. I remember in 2018, I found out that I had a curse on me. I found out that I had took on a lot of people's baggage because I wanted to be somebody's ride or die. And I gave away a lot of my blessings that I shouldn't have gave, that God specifically gave onto me. I let people continuously keep putting me in this dark hole and following the rabbits down the rabbit hole to Wonderland that I should never went in the first place. But I realized why it would happen to me. Because my parents kept telling me I need to make friends, and I kept saying I didn't want to make friends, and people never liked me, and I should have stuck with that. But we really think, and don't get me wrong, our parents have very good intentions, but you're leading your kids to the slaughter that way. You're leading your kids to the slaughter. You're leading your kids to basically eventually go against you. When you start telling them to make friends, them same friends gonna make them go against you. They gonna make them do things that you told them not to do. And that's the point. So you gotta be very mindful when you say you want your kids to have a man or you want your kids to have a relationship. Understand you are leading them to the slaughter. You are leading them to negativity, because depending on who they deal with, you might be leading them to a very bad situation that they do not, nor do they need to deal with. So it's important that you teach your kids what to look out for when it comes to negativity, what they're going to have to deal with when it comes to negativity, what are they going to encounter when it comes to negative people. You can't let your kids continue to feel less than what they are because they don't fit society standards. Boy, some of y'all do not like the fact that your kids are not popular. Y'all worry about what everybody else thinks and versus you loving your child for what they are. A lot of y'all have kids at very young ages, and then you still want to party and you decide to leave your kids at the house for hours upon hours. Absolutely not. Some of y'all leave your kids for days and now they're unalived. You'd be amazed how many kids basically unalive their parents because they can't get what they want. I just seen a 12-year-old unalive her cousin all over her iPad. That's crazy. Like I said, and then another woman got shot by the police because she called the police saying she was being stalked, and she's the one that ended up getting shot in front of her kids. Now these kids don't have a mother. That's crazy to me. But all I can say is welcome to the new version of life coaching, ladies and gentlemen. Recovery life coaching in particular. But before I go, if you are interested in one-on-one coaching, or you want to send me dear Abby letters or for advice, or you just want a particular topic or something you want me to research that can help you on your journey, please hit me up on my email, asha.mariama01@gmail.com. That's asha.mariama01@gmail.com. If you want to be a guest on my podcast, whether it's on YouTube or wherever it's going to be, and on my podcast, please email me there as well. And that way, we can talk about bringing people on the podcast. I am planning on bringing people up on my channel soon. I just got a couple things I need to do first. But my throat is feeling a lot better. It's just the back of my neck hurts. So I'm about to lay down and get some rest. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I just wanted to come on here and talk about this particular topic. But as for my sabbatical, I learned that pain don't go nowhere. It don't. Pain is going to continue to be there no matter what. It's just how do you choose to deal with it? How do you choose to incorporate it in your life? Because if you think you're not gonna go, if you think you're not gonna go through pain, trust me, you're gonna go through something. Because as long as you deal with people that are negative, as long as you can't distinguish the difference between a wolf in sheep's clothing, boy and girl that cry wolf, sirens, vampires, and snakes, you're gonna continue going through the same thing that you've been going through. So until you change yourself, you'll continue going through the same thing. You got to change you. You got to make yourself the best version of yourself and not worry about everybody else, because once you do, it's a wrap on that. And I say that so sincerely. So with that being said, you beautiful, beautiful people, I am ready to go lay down and get some rest. And like I said, I had to take an allergy pill because I don't know what is in me. I don't know what was in that McFlurry, but something made me feel horrible. So now I'm drinking some tea to basically flush out what's in my system. And I think once I go to the bathroom and flush it out, I should be fine. But there are a lot of people that have allergies, and Benadryl does a trick. And I just took some Benadryl, so I'm probably gonna be sleeping in a few minutes. And I want to make sure I get a good night's sleep, because Benadryl sometimes it kicks in immediately and sometimes it don't. Sometimes it'll kick in when it want to, but today it's kicking in. So I'm about to get up and go lay down and crash. Oh, I gotta do my prayers. So I'm gonna lay down, do my prayers, and do my scripture and my prayer for the day. Then do my own nightly prayer, and then I'm going to sleep. I'm tired. So with that being said, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Without y'all, there is no me. I'd be nothing without y'all. See, one thing about me is I don't care if nobody watched these videos. It don't really matter to me. What matters is that I am putting them out for people that are meant for me. Whoever's not meant for me, it is cool. You can keep on strolling. But for those of y'all who this is meant for, I appreciate y'all. I really do. Because like I said, without y'all, there is no me. And what a lot of people don't understand, it's not always about having a bunch of people. Because just because you have a bunch of people does not mean that all those people are going to basically buy your albums. A lot of celebrities are learning that now, because you may have 150 million followers. It does not mean 150 million people are going to buy whatever it is that you're selling. It doesn't work like that. Whoever is meant for it, they'll click on it. But don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification button to receive notifications of my videos on Facebook or on YouTube and on my other channels. All I can say is life is what you make it and with whom you make it with. At the end of the day, everybody should be an addition to you. Everybody should be people that's going to enhance what you do. And the people that come in your life, God should be leading them the same way God is leading you. These are people that basically are just like you. And there are people out there that are godly people that are just like you. You are not alone. And I'm trying to bring them people together, because I'm so tired of lost souls going out here and thinking that certain things are a certain way. And my goal as a life coach is to bring people back to the higher power. That's just my goal. And I had to surrender myself. So being that I had to surrender and I had to give all my negativity and I had to forgive all the people who wronged me, which is never an easy thing, but you have to do that. Because at the end of the day, if God can forgive you for all your sins, you got to forgive people who wronged you. If Jesus could get unalive for our sins after being crucified, then we should be able to take on anything that comes our way. Because Jesus was crucified and then resurrected. So if you can't handle anything that come with situations, you shouldn't be involved in the first place. So that being said, I'm out of here. I love y'all, and I will see y'all next time. Have a good evening. Bye.